And that experience of the turmeric mask was so layered because it wasn't just a skincare treatment to get glowy skin, the way that beauty is story told here. It's integrated in our weddings. It's a very sacred ritual that's so emblematic of the Indian experience.
Rooshy Roy is the founder and CEO of AAVRANI, the beauty brand blending Ayurvedic rituals with modern science. Long before her products were carried at Sephora, Rooshy was blending hair masks and face scrubs in her family kitchen, guided by rituals passed down from her mother. Growing up, she rarely saw beauty brands that reflected her heritage, so she decided to build one. Today, Rooshy joins us to share how she's reshaping beauty from the inside out. Rooshy, welcome to That Desi Spark.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
So excited to dig in and have this conversation. I want to start from the beginning. When you were young, what did you want to be when you grew up?
An artist. Yeah, that's the first memory of what I've ever responded with.
Why art?
I was a very introverted kid growing up, and I didn't really feel like I fit in. And I feel like art was a way that I knew I could express myself that I felt like I was lacking in otherwise. So I was like, I'm going to pursue that.
Did your parents encourage pursuing of art? What was something they might have done to support you, or something you look back on and be like, I didn't like it then, but I like it now?
It's funny you asked that because it was my parents who first asked, what do you want to be? And when I said artist, they just kind of laughed and was like, you don't make any money doing that. Basically was their response. I don't know if it was verbatim, but that was like my takeaway. And I kind of just was like, okay, moving on. Like at the time I didn't realize what a decision that would have been, but I'm like, oh, okay, if they said that. And so I kind of didn't revisit that until more recently in my life. But they did a ton to support me. I mean, they were always just encouraging me to explore things and stay busy and try new things. And I'm very lucky in that regard.
AAVRANI is rooted in traditional Ayurvedic beauty rituals that I think all of us remember doing with our moms when we were kids. The haldi mask, the hair oiling, etc. What did those rituals look like for you when you were young?
I have distinct memories both in Michigan and in Kolkata where I would do it with my grandmothers. In India, it was always even more special because it was a part of their weekly ritual. It wasn't even a question of like, are we going to do this today? Whereas it was a little bit more special and on special occasions at home with my mom, because they're hard to keep up with. You have to really be present and take the time to curate the individual ingredients and layer them and apply them. And it's a different way of life than in the US where we're trying to do everything as fast as possible and get it over with. But in that regard, the thing I sort of remember the most was the slowness and the care and the just patience involved in honoring ourselves in that kind of way in India, which is a feeling I'll never forget.
Your life took you in a very fast-paced, different direction to investment banking and then business school. Talk to me about that time in your life.
While I was in investment banking, oh, it was brutal. I pursued finance because it was the only thing left that I felt like my parents would be proud of me for, that I felt like I could force myself to do. So like medicine, I'm very squeamish around blood. So I'm like, I just can't do that. Law was like, seemed very boring. I didn't love reading growing up. So it was like, that was out. Finance, I was like, okay, maybe I could do that. That's truly how I landed on that pursuit. And then when I majored in college, I learned that investment banking is one of the toughest jobs to get out of school in finance. And at the time, I had never really applied myself productively. I was like 18 when I learned that. And so I was like, let me see if I could do this. And it was more so for the sake of proving to myself that it's possible for me to work hard and be successful in a way that society appreciates and enjoys. And so that's how I ended up pursuing it. So when I was sitting in my seat, actually just a few buildings away at GS, I was like, wow, I hate this so much. Like, I worked so hard to get here and I hate it. And initially I felt very guilty about that because I was like, anybody, or not anybody, but so many people would be dying to be in my shoes right now. I'm so lucky to be here. But I couldn't align that with how I was feeling internally. I was the only woman and only person of color in my subgroup. And so honoring who I was or even being aware of who I was like so out of the question. I was so tunnel vision of like, I'm just gonna do the best at this thing. And so it wasn't until year 5 where I was working in private equity that I was like, I can't do this anymore. So business school was like the most risk averse thing I could do to step back and figure it out. Like, my parents would have freaked out if I was like, I'm just gonna take a year off and travel, right? Which probably would have also resulted in a lot of self-discovery. But business school felt like the safe option. And so I applied myself in that regard and took a year to like take the GMAT, and I'm a terrible test taker. You know, think about my personal story and what I want to do and all of that. And so that was what that period was like. It was kind of being thrown into the deep end and like figuring my way out.
So after doing everything you were supposed to do per the expectations of a child of immigrants, South Asian child, you started business school and you met someone in those early days that would set you on the path you're on now. Talk to me about meeting your co-founder.
So I met Justin on the second day of school, and you know, in every first or second day at business school, everyone's sort of sizing each other up, trying to figure out like who's who. And him and I clicked very quickly because he also worked in investment banking and private equity before, and we both knew we never wanted to go back. And so we were just talking about our experiences, and he happened to focus exclusively on beauty in his time in PE. And his most recent investment was in a brand called Tatcha. And at the time, I'd never heard of Tatcha. I was like, this is fascinating. Also, it's amazing that this random white guy knows so much about beauty. And he's telling me how that founder, Vicky, brought these ancient Japanese rituals and traditions to the US in a luxury format. And that's when I just got so excited. I was like, Justin, there are all these Indian rituals and traditions that I used growing up. I know so much about what to mix and what to include for certain benefits and concerns on the skin and the hair. And it was the first time in my life I was actually talking about it with someone outside of the house, because I never thought it was cool or interesting, but in this very specific context, in this conversation, it was so relevant, and I just felt so proud to talk to him about it. And so he's like, so every time you would do a face mask, you would have to make it from scratch. You can't just buy it at the store. And that was the light bulb moment. 2 weeks after that conversation, we transferred all of our savings into a joint business account, and that was supposed to go to tuition. So we took out business school loans that I'm still paying off, and just never looked back.
That's incredible. What was the first product that you made you think, this is the one, this is going to be our hero product?
It was the turmeric mask. And that experience of the turmeric mask was so layered because it wasn't just a skincare treatment to get glowy skin, the way that beauty is story told here. It's integrated in our weddings. It's a very sacred ritual that's so emblematic of the Indian experience that it just felt like that's the only product I need to focus on first, and everything will fall into place. And so the key thing with that formula that I remember growing up was that it stains. So yes, it's amazing for skin and it'll make you glowy, but you have to put up with that like 24-hour healthy yellow stain. And so that was one thing I knew I wanted to do differently. I didn't want it to leave any kind of color or residue. But I still wanted all the benefits and, improvements to the skin that turmeric masks offer in my product. So I went all in on that when we first got started.
How do you approach product development? Is it story first, then formula, or is it both at the same time?
So it's actually evolved over the years. In the beginning, it was, what do I, Rooshy, want? And I'm just gonna make it and hope for the best. I do not recommend that strategy because there are costs associated with producing a product that people might not end up actually wanting. So over time, as the business sophisticated, of course, I heavily influence all the products, and I personally try and iterate every round we get. But it is heavily influenced now by what the market is ready to receive and is craving. That's just a part of the business reality that I can't ignore. So I am always keeping up to date with what the latest trends are, where the gaps are in the beauty market, what are the biggest customer complaints across specifically skin and hair care, to see if there's an opportunity to insert Ayurvedic beauty as the solution. So there are many different approaches we take to product development, and it all kind of intersects at, are we able to deliver something different and better if we create this? And if the answer is yes, we proceed. Otherwise, it's not worth, honestly, pursuing. And I had to learn that the hard way too.
Building a consumer brand requires a lot of capital. And as we know, fundraising is not for the faint of heart. How was your early fundraising strategy to get the funds required to bring AAVRANI to where it is now?
My early fundraising strategy was, I'll take anything from anyone. I will stand outside with a bucket. Like, I was so just desperate to execute on my vision that I, again, in thinking about like first-time founder mistakes or early mistakes, I just was not that, focused on who it was coming from or how much it was. It was truly just like, I want to get this off the ground as fast as possible, because I also felt the sense of urgency of like, it can't just be me that came up with this. Like, other people are working on it. I know the bigger companies were working on it. So I had this sense of urgency in me. And I would say fundraising was just a constant presence in my startup experience for the first 3 years, because it was just constantly meeting people, building relationships, pitching the business. And then I learned as I went. Of course, building a relationship before you ask for money is much better, but I was starting from zero, right? So it took a long time for me to actually build a network and do it properly. So the early days was just absolute chaos, and I wouldn't know what I know now if I hadn't gone through it, but that was probably the most draining and difficult parts of getting off the ground.
So much of your success with AAVRANI isn't just phenomenal formulations with deep roots in our culture in Ayurveda, it's also your storytelling. Talk to me about your social media strategy and how you put yourself in the face as a face of the brand, which most founders are, but really used it as a way to show, not tell, and introduce people to Ayurveda.
Yeah, so social media was critical, and it still is, but in the early days, it was the only way I was getting the word out. We didn't have a budget to actually have a marketing strategy, so I would post 3 times a day, every single day, to just learn what are the themes and visuals and ingredients that people are resonating with through engagement, and what's not getting that kind of engagement, for me to even understand how to frame the brand in a way people can receive. I got so much feedback from just that discipline of posting. I was Google imaging like honey and neem, like they weren't even my photos, so oftentimes I would get like a DM saying, you need to take this down. I was like, okay. But it was truly just testing and learning. Today, social media is still our biggest voice, and it's where we can be free. I'm trying to now showcase how AAVRANI and Ayurveda can be leveraged across anybody. Like, you don't have to be Indian. So I'm trying to get authentic customers and creators who truly love the product to give me their unabashed review and experience of it. And I feel like the more I can showcase that, the implicit message is it's for everyone who wants to engage.
You started in skin, but hair has quickly become one of your largest and most engaged categories with the help and partnership of Lily Singh. I'd love to hear more about how that partnership started and has grown to where it is today.
Yeah. So it was truly an organic relationship that, just like I said, for fundraising, you need to build relationships before you ask for money. In a partnership, you need to get to know the person before you're able to, successfully outline how you can work together. And in 2022, when I had finalized the framework of what hair was going to look like, we had done R&D on hair for a couple years, I had sent Lily Singh my entire skincare collection. I got an opportunity to send the product to her from a friend of a friend. And to be clear, a lot of times when you send product to celebrities, it's not them actually opening it or engaging with it. It's their assistant or their nanny. And so I didn't have my hopes very high, but I got a message from the mutual friend who sent her the product that she loved everything and wanted to meet me. And so this was summer of 2022. I got on a Zoom call with a bunch of people on our team. It was me, her, and like 9 other people logged in for this 15-minute calendar invite. And I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna say? And she was so sweet. She praised the products. I could clearly tell that she was being genuine in her experience. And she just left it open. I had 5 minutes left and she's like, so what's next? What are you doing next? And so I told her about the expansion in hair that I was working on, and she got so excited. She's like, I'd love to give you feedback on that and learn what formulas you're making. And so from 22 to 23, I was literally sending her product samples. I was like, this is number 7 of the oil. This is what I changed. Let me know what you think. And she was giving me feedback. It took a whole year and a half of this before she was like, okay, do you want to collaborate? So it wasn't until January 2024, actually, we had even signed anything in writing. And then we launched it in March. So it was several months of getting to know each other, really having her integrate with the brand, understand our values, understand where she can add outsized impact. So by the time we wrote out our partnership, it flowed out. These are the obvious places where I can fit in. So that's how it ended up coming about.
What's your favorite AAVRANI product, if you could pick one?
In hair, I would say the Density Boost. I personally lost a lot of hair during COVID, and so filling out my hair was a top priority for me, and the Density Boost really changed my hair for the better, meaningfully. In skin, it's the turmeric mask. For all the reasons I said, I just can't, it feels and smells like home to me.
Your products are perfect for a perimenopausal woman. I just have to say, Density Boost has also changed my hair.
Amazing.
So thank you. What's next for AAVRANI?
I'm trying to figure that out right now. So, to be honest, I feel like I have given it all the ideas I have. And now, in order to take AAVRANI to the next level, I need to transform and change my perspective so I can bring something new to the business. And I'm not sure what that looks like just yet. Obviously, being a mother now has really changed that priority for me and lens through which I engage with and understand beauty. So I definitely know I want something in that realm. But I'm in the very early days of figuring out the next evolution for the brand.
Do you have anything coming down the pipeline?
Yes, so yes, product-wise, we have our first styling product launching next month. It is a heat protectant leave-in conditioner. The main challenge I had with my experience of blowing out my hair is that I just had to use too many products, one for hydrating, one for volumizing, one for detangling, one for heat protecting. And I just, like, I'm lazy with it. So I just wanted one product, and that really inspired this creation. And then on top of that, I wanted something that was actually beneficial for the hair. So not just protecting from damage and breakage and split ends, but actually strengthening the strand from root to tip. So that's what this product does, and I'm excited to share it with the world.
I can't wait for it. How are you bringing the rituals that you enjoyed with your mom, that really was the source of inspiration for AAVRANI, into your life now as a mom? How do you see yourself using the products as sort of you as the mom with your kids?
It's wild to think about, yeah. Even when I bathe my son and I shampoo his hair, I just take the time to like massage his head a little bit, and it's just that care and that intention behind Ayurveda is so special, and something that I just want to bring into my practice as a mother and everything that I do, not just as it relates to like self-care stuff.
So much about Ayurveda is intentionality and purposefully slowing down in a world that feels like it's constantly speeding up, is so noisy, and it's so out of control. What are some other rituals you have that help ground you?
Writing is number one. Journaling, just stream of consciousness, like getting it all out on the page, has been so healing for me. I didn't realize like how much noise I had up there until I let it go. Walking is also a big one, just like aimlessly walking. Lately I've been putting my AirPods in but not having any music, just so that as I talk to myself it looks like I'm on the phone. And it makes me comfortable just saying things out loud, things I would otherwise write down. And just like slowing down when I come home. Now I notice the contrast of when I'm at work and my intensity is like really high, my heart beats a little faster, I'm just like on edge, and I come home and then I hear my kid and I just immediately like relax and my shoulders come down. And trying to preserve that and not get ramped up and like checking my emails and logging back in for one quick thing, just really being present with my son has been very grounding.
That's amazing. What's next for you?
What's next for me is aligned with what's next for AAVRANI. So the business has always been very much a catalyst for my growth, and so now I'm excited to see what I can give back to AAVRANI by first, like I said, transforming myself. So what's next for me, I'm trying to figure out what that Rooshi looks like.
She's going to be amazing.
Thank
To
you.
close, I want to kind of go back where we got started. If you could sit down with your younger self, what would you tell her?
I would tell her what's meant for her will come to her, and what's not meant for her will not. So you can relax on your sense of controlling these things, that the things that are coming your way are going to come your way regardless. So that additional anxiety and stress and just pain around who am I, how will this happen, maybe I could mitigate that a little bit if I told her those things.
What AAVRANI product would you give her?
The turmeric mask. She would immediately know, right? Like, I don't think an 8-year-old would understand a density boosting treatment.
She doesn't need to yet.
Yeah, she doesn't need to yet with her mushroom cut. But yeah, she would immediately know what it is, because like I said, I've preserved that the smell of it, so it would occur to her, and that would be really special.
I think she would be really proud of you to see that you did become the artist, just in a different way that you always set out to be.
Thank you, yes.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Hita. This was nice.